He told me not to bother with the high school reunion, claiming I still looked pregnant. Then I overheard him laughing with another woman on the phone. When I confronted him, he just smirked and said, "Stay home. Who'd want to see that?" 2 months have passed since that moment. Last night he was crying through the phone while I hit block, for good. He hasn't realized yet, his reckoning is coming. Don't even think about showing up tonight looking like that. Marcus's eyes swept over my body with disgust as I stood in our bedroom wearing the dress I'd bought for our high school reunion. You still look pregnant, Emma. It's embarrassing. His words crushed something inside me that I didn't know could break further. When I tried to argue, he just smirked and delivered the final blow. Stay home. Who'd want to see that? 2 months later, as I pressed block contact on his sobbing voice, I realized that moment of humiliation had been the beginning of his end. But let me take you back to where it all began, that Wednesday afternoon at Serenity Day Spa when everything changed forever. I'd been looking forward to this appointment all week. 2 hours of pure bliss while my mother watched 4-month-old Lily. The eucalyptus-scented steam enveloped me as I settled into the massage chair, finally feeling human again after months of sleepless nights and endless diaper changes. I'd chosen soft coral polish for my toes, thinking it would complement the navy dress hanging in my closet at home, the one I'd spent 3 weeks searching for, finally finding something that fit my changed postpartum body. Carmen, my nail technician, was massaging my swollen feet when my phone buzzed. Marcus's name lit up the screen, and for a brief moment, my heart fluttered with hope. Maybe he was calling to wish me luck tonight or to tell me how excited he was to introduce me to his old friends as his wife and the mother of his daughter. Instead, his text message appeared in cold, brutal words that would shatter my world. Don't bother with the reunion tonight. You still look pregnant and it's embarrassing. I don't want people thinking I settled. The massage chair continued its gentle vibration, but suddenly everything felt wrong. The soothing spa music became overwhelming noise. The lavender aromatherapy made me nauseous. My hands started trembling so violently that I nearly dropped my phone into the foot basin filled with warm rose-scented water. Honey, you okay? Carmen looked up with genuine concern, her kind brown eyes reflecting the overhead lighting. She'd been chatting about her teenage kids just moments before, making me feel normal and connected to the world outside diapers and feeding schedules. I couldn't form words. 4 months of exhaustion, self-doubt, and Marcus's increasing criticism crashed over me like a tidal wave. Every morning comment about my appearance, every suggestion that I try harder to lose the baby weight, every disappointed sigh when I chose comfort over style, it all crystallized in that single devastating message. The woman getting gel extensions at the station beside me noticed my distress immediately. She was elegant, probably early 30s, with perfectly highlighted blonde hair and the kind of confidence I remembered having before pregnancy changed everything about my body and my relationship. I'm Rachel, she said softly, reaching into her designer purse for tissues. You look like you just received terrible news. I tried to compose myself, but tears were streaming down my cheeks now, probably ruining the light makeup I'd carefully applied this morning. My husband, I managed to whisper, my voice cracking on each syllable. He just told me not to come to our high school reunion tonight. Rachel's expression shifted from sympathy to something much more intense. Her manicured hands stilled, and I caught a flash of steel in her blue eyes. May I ask why he would say such a thing? Without thinking, I turned my phone toward her, showing Marcus's message. I watched her face transform as she read his words, her perfectly applied makeup unable to hide the fury building beneath the surface. That's your husband? She asked, her voice carefully controlled but carrying an undertone that made several other women glance our way. The father of your baby? Carmen had completely stopped working on my pedicure now, listening to our conversation with growing alarm. The soft chatter throughout the spa began to quiet as our voices carried across the peaceful space. He's been different since Lily was born, I heard myself admitting, though I'd never spoken these words aloud to anyone before. Critical about everything, my weight, how I dress, how tired I look all the time. But this. I gestured helplessly at my phone, feeling the full weight of his cruelty settling on my shoulders. How dare he, Rachel said, her voice rising slightly. You just gave birth 4 months ago. Your body created life. You should be celebrated, not criticized. Other women in the spa were definitely listening now. I could feel their attention, their sympathy, and something else. A collective anger that seemed to be building in the room like pressure before a storm. Without warning, Rachel reached for my phone. "What are you doing?" I gasped, but she was already initiating a video call to Marcus. "Trust me," she said with dangerous calm, angling the camera so Marcus would see my tear-streaked face when he answered. He picked up on the second ring, probably expecting to see me. Instead, he found himself looking at a stunning stranger who clearly wasn't intimidated by his presence. "Hey Marcus, this is Rachel," she announced with false sweetness, making sure he could see me crying in the background. "I'm here with your gorgeous wife at the spa. She's getting ready for your reunion tonight and she looks absolutely beautiful." Marcus's face appeared on my phone screen, handsome, confident, completely unaware that he was about to expose himself to a room full of witnesses. "Oh, hey there," he said, and I recognized the tone immediately. It was the voice he used with attractive women, the charming personality he'd completely stopped showing me months ago. "You look pretty cute yourself," he continued, his eyes clearly appreciating what he saw. "If my wife looked anything like you, we wouldn't have any problems." His laughter that followed was casual, cruel, and utterly devastating. It echoed through the quiet spa like a bomb exploding in a library. The silence that followed was deafening. Carmen's hands had frozen on my feet. Rachel's grip tightened on my phone until her knuckles turned white. Every woman within earshot had stopped what they were doing and turned toward us with expressions ranging from shock to outrage. But Marcus wasn't finished. Oblivious to his growing audience, he kept talking, digging his grave deeper with every word. "Yeah, Emma used to be really hot back in high school. Now she's all, mommyish. Baby weight, no energy for anything fun, always complaining about being tired." He laughed again and I watched several women's mouths fall open in complete disbelief. "She keeps talking about this reunion like it's some big deal, but honestly she'd just embarrass us both. Better if she stays home with the baby where she belongs." Rachel ended the call without another word, but Marcus's voice seemed to hang in the air like toxic smoke that wouldn't clear. I sat there in complete humiliation, wanting to disappear into the earth itself. That's when Sophia, the spa owner, rose from her desk across the room like an avenging angel. She was a striking woman in her 40s with silver-streaked hair and the bearing of someone who'd built an empire from nothing. She'd witnessed the entire exchange, and now she walked toward us with the purposeful stride of a general preparing for war. "Ladies," Sophia announced, her voice carrying clearly through every corner of the spa, "we have a code red emergency." Every woman in that space, getting facials, massages, manicures, eyebrow threading, turned to face me with complete, focused attention. The woman under the hairdryer removed her hood. The client getting a chemical peel sat up despite having treatment masks on her face. Even the staff members gathered around us in a protective circle. And in that moment, as I looked around at these strangers who had just witnessed my husband's cruelty and were now looking at me with fierce determination, I felt something shift inside me. The humiliation was still there, burning like acid in my chest, but underneath it something else was growing. Something that looked a lot like revenge. The click of the spa's front door lock echoed through the sudden silence like a starting gun. Sophia strode across the marble floor with purpose, flipping the elegant wooden sign from "Welcome" to "Private Event Closed." The finality of that gesture sent electricity through the air as 12 women found themselves united by witness to Marcus's cruelty. "Everyone, please gather in the main lounge," Sophia announced, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to making things happen. The central seating area, normally used for clients waiting for appointments, suddenly became our war room. Plush white chairs formed a circle as women abandoned their treatments mid-process to join us. I felt overwhelmed as faces turned toward me with expressions ranging from maternal protectiveness to barely contained rage. These strangers had just heard my husband humiliate me in the most public way possible, and instead of looking away in embarrassment, they were moving closer. "This man," Sophia began, gesturing toward me with fierce maternal energy, "just disrespected not only his wife but every single woman who has ever carried a child, given birth, or sacrificed her body to create life." Her words hung in the scented air like a battle cry. Rachel, still holding my phone as if it were evidence in a criminal case, stood up first. "I own Bella Luxe Boutique online," she said, introducing herself properly for the first time. "I've built my business around making women feel powerful and beautiful. What just happened here is exactly why I do what I do." Maria, the woman who'd been getting a deep conditioning treatment, raised her hand slightly. I'm Maria Gonzalez. I do makeup for Channel 7 News. I've made anchors look flawless through hurricanes and political scandals. Her dark eyes sparkled with mischief. Making one cheating husband regret his life choices? That's Tuesday for me. A striking brunette in workout clothes leaned forward. Jennifer Martinez, personal trainer and life coach. I survived my own nightmare marriage where my ex-husband used to critique my appearance in front of his friends. Her voice carried hard-earned wisdom. I know exactly what this feels like and I know exactly how to help you rise above it. Carmen, my nail technician, was nodding vigorously. Carmen Rodriguez, esthetician and mother of 3. I've been doing nails for 15 years and I've heard every story. But this. She shook her head in disgust. This crosses every line. As introductions continued around the circle, I felt something shifting inside my chest. These weren't just random spa clients anymore. They were women with expertise, resources, and most importantly, the shared understanding of what it meant to be diminished by men who were supposed to love us. All right, Rachel said, suddenly standing with the energy of someone making a crucial business decision. Emma, what size are you? What? I stammered, still processing everything happening around me. Dress size. I have a piece that would be absolutely perfect for tonight. She was already scrolling through her phone, pulling up photos of an emerald green dress that looked like it belonged on a red carpet. Rachel, I can't possibly, I started to protest, but she cut me off. This dress retails for $350. I was saving it for my own special occasion, but honey, watching you destroy your husband's reputation tonight is my special occasion. She was already texting someone, fingers flying across her screen. Maria had pulled out a professional makeup kit that looked like it belonged on a movie set. I need to cancel my dinner plans anyway, she said, speed dialing someone. Hey mom, can you handle dinner without me? I'm helping a sister take down a terrible husband. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Jennifer was scrolling through her contacts. My daughter Sophia is 16 and absolutely loves babysitting. She'll come to your place or you can bring the baby to mine, whatever makes you more comfortable. She's CPR certified and has been watching kids since she was 13. I can't ask you all to, I began, but Sophia raised her hand for silence. Emma, listen carefully. You didn't ask for any of this. We're offering because what we just witnessed was unacceptable. Every woman in this room has been where you are in some way. Sophia's voice softened slightly. We're not doing this just for you. We're doing this because sometimes the universe puts us exactly where we need to be to fight back against men who think they can treat women like disposable objects. Carmen was already mixing something that smelled like coconut and vanilla. Complimentary spray tan, she announced. I've got a mobile unit in the back room. 20 minutes and you'll have that healthy glow that makes people think you just got back from Cabo. The logistics were falling into place with military precision. Sophia pulled out an appointment book and started writing. It's currently 2:30. The reunion starts at 7 o'clock, which gives us exactly 4.5 hours. Hair extensions first with Natasha. She's my best stylist and she owes me a favor. Spray tan with Carmen at 3:30. Maria takes over makeup at 4:45. Rachel's dress arrives by 5:30. Final touches and confidence session until 6:30. This feels like a movie, I whispered, watching these women orchestrate what could only be described as a complete life makeover in real time. It's better than a movie, Jennifer said with a knowing smile. Because in movies the revenge is fantasy. Tonight it's going to be very, very real. Rachel's phone pinged with a text. My assistant is bringing the dress and accessories. She'll be here in 40 minutes. She looked at me with the intensity of a general planning a siege. Emma, I need you to understand something. This isn't just about looking beautiful tonight. This is about you remembering who you were before Marcus spent months chipping away at your confidence. As if summoned by her words, a tall woman with short silver hair emerged from the back treatment rooms. I'm Natasha, she announced with a slight Russian accent. Sophia tells me we're fixing a terrible situation. Show me your hair. I reached up self-consciously to touch my limp, postpartum hair. It had been falling out for months, leaving me with patches and an overall thinness that made me feel older than my 28 years. Ah, Natasha said, examining my scalp with professional expertise. Postpartum hair loss. Very common, very fixable. I have extensions that will give you hair like a shampoo commercial. Your husband will not recognize you. That's exactly the point, Sophia said with satisfaction. Emma, by the time we're finished with you tonight, Marcus is going to realize he just made the biggest mistake of his miserable life. The energy in the room was infectious. For the first time since Lily's birth, I felt like I was part of something larger than my own exhaustion and self-doubt. These women weren't just offering makeover services, they were offering me a chance to reclaim the person I'd been before pregnancy. Sleepless nights and Marcus's constant criticism had worn me down to nothing. One question, I said, looking around at these incredible women who dropped everything to help a stranger. Why? Why are you all doing this for someone you don't even know? Sophia smiled, and I caught a glimpse of steel beneath her nurturing exterior. Because, darling, we've all been underestimated by men who thought they could break us. Tonight you get to show your husband what happens when women decide to stand together. The transformation was about to begin. Natasha's hands moved through my hair with the precision of a surgeon, sectioning and clipping with professional efficiency. We start with the foundation, she murmured in her elegant accent, examining each strand under the bright salon lights. Your natural hair, it is beautiful but tired. Like you, yes. We wake it up. The first extension clip snapped into place near my crown, and I felt an immediate difference. The weight, the fullness, it was like putting on armor made of silk. Natasha worked in methodical rows, each new section adding volume and length I hadn't seen since before my pregnancy. You know, she said, weaving another piece seamlessly into my natural hair, I came to America with nothing. My husband back in Russia, he told me I was stupid for dreaming of owning salon. Said American women would never trust foreign girl with their hair. Her laugh was bitter but triumphant. Now I make more in 1 month than he makes in year. Jennifer had positioned herself in the chair next to us, watching Natasha's technique with fascination. Hair holds so much emotional weight for women, she observed. When my ex used to criticize my appearance, the first thing I did was change my hair. Cut it all off, actually. Took me 2 years to grow it back, but when I did, I was a completely different person. Stronger person, Natasha agreed, adding another section. Hair is crown you never take off. Must be worthy of queen. As she worked, other women drifted over to watch the transformation. Carmen was preparing her spray tan station in the adjoining room, mixing solutions and adjusting lighting. Maria had spread her makeup arsenal across an entire counter, brushes, palettes, and products that looked like they belonged in a professional studio. Emma, look up for me, Natasha instructed. When I raised my eyes to the mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back. My face was the same, but framed by thick, lustrous waves that caught the light with every movement. The extensions blended perfectly with my natural color, a rich chestnut brown that seemed to make my eyes brighter. Oh my God, I whispered, reaching up to touch the transformation. No touching. Natasha swatted my hand away playfully. Is not finished yet. Must add layers, create movement. You will have hair that moves like silken breeze. Rachel appeared beside us with her phone, documenting the process. I'm putting together a before and after story for my social media, she explained. With your permission, of course. Sometimes the best revenge is showing the world exactly what an idiot man lost. The idea of sharing my story publicly should have terrified me, but instead I felt a surge of empowerment. Do it, I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. Natasha stepped back to assess her work, then moved in for final touches. She used a curling iron to create loose waves that cascaded over my shoulders, each strand perfectly placed. When she finally turned me toward the mirror for the full reveal, I actually gasped. The woman looking back at me had the kind of hair I'd only seen in magazines. Full, healthy, radiant, everything Marcus had made me believe I could never be again. Time for golden glow. Carmen called from the next room. She'd transformed the small treatment space into something resembling a professional photo shoot, with special lighting and protective coverings everywhere. The spray tan process was surprisingly intimate. As Carmen worked, applying the solution with artistic precision, she told me about her own journey. My ex-husband used to say I looked washed out, pale and tired. After our divorce, I learned about spray tanning, started doing it for myself. First time I saw myself with that healthy glow, I understood what confidence really meant. The solution felt cool against my skin, and Carmen's technique was flawless. She explained how different areas needed different amounts of product, how to avoid streaking, how the color would develop over the next few hours. This particular blend, she said, working on my arms, has a golden undertone that will make you look like you just returned from vacation in Italy. Under the reunion's lighting, you'll positively glow. While the tan developed, Maria finally called me over to her makeup station. The array of products spread before us was intimidating, dozens of brushes, multiple palettes, tubes and compacts I couldn't even identify. Sit, she commanded gently, adjusting the chair height with professional efficiency. Close your eyes and trust me. I've made news anchors look flawless during natural disasters. Making you look absolutely stunning for your husband's public humiliation? This is my specialty. Her hands were incredibly gentle as she began with primer, explaining each step. We're not hiding anything about your face, she said, dabbing concealer under my eyes. We're enhancing what's already beautiful. This is about making you feel like the most powerful version of yourself. The foundation went on like silk, evening out my skin tone and giving me a porcelain finish. Then came contouring, something I'd never understood before, but in Maria's hands became an art form. She sculpted cheekbones I'd forgotten I had, defined my jawline, and somehow made my nose look perfectly proportioned. Your bone structure is incredible, she murmured, blending shadows. Classic features. Your husband is an absolute fool. The eyeshadow she chose was sophisticated neutral tones that made my brown eyes look enormous and luminous. She lined them with precision that would make a surgeon jealous, then applied mascara that seemed to double the length of my lashes. Lipstick choice is crucial, she said, holding up several options. We want something that says, I'm successful, confident, and completely over you, but in a classy way. She settled on a deep berry color that complemented my new golden skin tone perfectly. When she finally turned me toward the mirror, I actually started crying. No tears, she said quickly, grabbing tissues. You'll ruin my masterpiece. But these weren't tears of sadness. For the first time in months, I looked in a mirror and saw someone I actually liked. Someone who looked capable, beautiful, powerful. Someone who definitely didn't deserve to be told to stay home and hide. Rachel appeared with a garment bag. Time for the final reveal, she announced dramatically. Ladies, prepare yourselves. The emerald dress was even more stunning in person than in photos. The fabric felt like liquid silk, and when I slipped it on, it fit like it had been designed specifically for my body. The color made my skin glow, and the cut was sophisticated yet unmistakably feminine. Sophia had provided shapewear that created the perfect silhouette, not because I needed it but because it made me feel invincible. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, wearing Rachel's dress and all the artistry these women had created, I looked like someone I'd forgotten existed. The woman in the mirror looked successful, confident, and absolutely radiant. She looked like someone who would never accept being told she wasn't good enough. Holy shit, Jennifer whispered, then immediately covered her mouth. Sorry, but Emma, you look absolutely incredible. All the women gathered around the mirror, and suddenly everyone was talking at once, taking pictures, offering final touches. Their excitement was infectious, and for the first time in months I felt truly alive. Now, Sophia said, clapping her hands for attention, we have 30 minutes for the most important part of this entire process. The confidence session was about to begin. Sophia checked her vintage Cartier watch with the precision of a military commander. 6:45, she announced, gathering all the women around me in a final huddle. The reunion officially started at 7, but fashionably late is strategically perfect. We arrive at 9:15 after the initial greetings and awkward small talk, but before anyone gets too intoxicated to witness what's about to happen. The plan unfolded like a sophisticated operation. Rachel would be my official +1, entering on my arm as both support and witness. Jennifer would arrive 20 minutes after us, positioning herself near the bar for optimal viewing angles. Carmen and Maria would come separately, blending into the crowd as backup reinforcements. Everyone exchanged phone numbers, creating a group text chain titled, Operation Reckoning. Remember, Sophia said, adjusting my necklace one final time, you're not going there to confront him immediately. You're going to let him see you, let the room see you, and let the anticipation build. The best revenge is served with perfect timing. My hands trembled slightly as I picked up the small clutch Rachel had coordinated with the dress. Inside were my phone, lipstick for touch-ups, and a small emergency kit of confidence boosters, mints, tissues, and a tiny mirror. Such simple items, but they felt like weapons of war. You ready for this? Rachel asked, linking her arm through mine as we approached the spa's exit. I caught my reflection one last time in the floor-to-ceiling windows. The woman looking back was radiant, powerful, completely transformed. I've never been more ready for anything in my life, I replied, and for the first time all day my voice didn't shake. The ride to the downtown Marriott felt both eternal and instantaneous. Rachel drove her pristine Mercedes, classical music playing softly as we navigated the evening traffic. My phone buzzed with messages from the group chat, final words of encouragement, strategic reminders, and photos of my transformation that they were already posting to social media with hashtags like #sisterhoodstrong and #women-supporting-women. Look at that, Rachel said, showing me her phone at a red light. The spa's Instagram post about your transformation already has 300 likes. The comments are incredible, women sharing their own stories, cheering you on. The digital support felt surreal. Strangers across the city were now invested in my success tonight, creating a network of solidarity that extended far beyond the women who had physically transformed me. As we pulled into the Marriott's circular driveway, the sound of music and laughter spilled from the hotel's grand ballroom windows. The building itself looked elegant and imposing, draped in soft lighting that made everything feel cinematic. Couples and groups of classmates were still arriving, dressed in their finest, but none of them commanded attention the way we did stepping out of Rachel's car. The valet who took Rachel's keys actually did a double take when he saw me. "Have a wonderful evening, ladies," he said with genuine admiration, and I realized this was just the beginning of people noticing me for all the right reasons. The hotel lobby was spectacular, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and fresh flower arrangements that filled the space with the scent of roses and lilies. As we walked toward the ballroom, I could feel eyes turning toward us. Not the uncomfortable staring I'd grown accustomed to when people noticed my postpartum exhaustion, but appreciative glances that made me stand taller. "You're glowing," Rachel whispered as we approached the registration table. "Literally glowing. Every person in this lobby is wondering who you are." The reunion check-in was handled by Melissa Park, who'd been student council secretary senior year. Her jaw literally dropped when she saw me. "Emma Rodriguez," she said, checking my maiden name on the list. "Oh my goodness, you look absolutely stunning. I almost didn't recognize you. You look like a movie star." Her genuine excitement was infectious, and I felt my confidence soar even higher. "Thank you, Melissa. You look wonderful too. Is Marcus here yet?" she asked innocently, scanning the crowd beyond the entrance. "He should be," I replied with a mysterious smile. "We'll find each other eventually." The moment we stepped into the ballroom proper, I felt the energy shift. Conversations didn't stop exactly, but there was a subtle change in the room's rhythm. People noticed us, noticed me, and the attention felt powerful rather than uncomfortable. The ballroom was elegantly decorated in our school colors, navy and gold, with round tables surrounding a dance floor and a bar area that stretched along the far wall. A DJ was playing a mix of current hits and songs from our high school years, creating the perfect nostalgic atmosphere. It took exactly 37 seconds to spot Marcus. He was positioned at the bar's corner, exactly where he used to hold court during school dances and parties. His arm was wrapped possessively around a stunning redhead who couldn't have been older than 25. She was tall, willowy, with the kind of effortless beauty that came from youth and probably excellent genetics. Everything I used to be before pregnancy changed my body, before sleepless nights carved circles under my eyes, before Marcus's constant criticism made me question my worth. But instead of the crushing jealousy I expected to feel, something else washed over me. Pity. Because watching them together, I could see what Rachel had noticed immediately: the performative nature of Marcus's charm. His smile was too practiced, his laugh too loud, his gestures too calculated. He was working so hard to impress this woman that every movement screamed insecurity. "Look at him," Rachel murmured, following my gaze. "He's trying so hard. It's actually embarrassing." Several former classmates had already begun approaching us. David Chin, who'd been valedictorian, grabbed my hands with genuine delight. "Emma, you look absolutely incredible. I heard you got married and had a baby. Congratulations. Motherhood obviously agrees with you." Before I could respond, Jessica Martinez appeared beside him. "Emma Rodriguez. Oh my God, you're even more beautiful than you were in high school. And that dress, where did you get it?" You look like you stepped off a red carpet. Their compliments felt sincere and warm, completely different from the forced pleasantries I'd grown accustomed to receiving when people felt obligated to say nice things about new mothers. These people were seeing me as I truly was tonight, radiant, confident, successful. More classmates gathered around us, and I found myself at the center of a growing circle of genuine admiration. Sarah Kim from Drama Club, Miguel Santos from the debate team, even quiet Hannah Williams who'd barely spoken to anyone during high school, they all seemed genuinely thrilled to see me and impressed by how I looked. You have to tell us your secret, Jessica laughed. You look better now than you did at 18. As I chatted and laughed with these people from my past, I kept Marcus in my peripheral vision. He was still completely focused on his date, oblivious to my presence or the growing buzz of positive attention surrounding me. But I knew it was only a matter of time before someone mentioned that Emma Rodriguez was here, and when they did he would turn around to see exactly what he'd told to stay home. Rachel squeezed my arm gently. He still hasn't seen you, she whispered. The anticipation is killing me. The anticipation was exhilarating. Every second that passed without Marcus noticing me was another moment for more classmates to see me, compliment me, and remember why they'd liked me in high school. I was building an audience for what was about to happen, and when Marcus finally turned around he would realize that everyone could see exactly what kind of fool he'd been. 20 minutes had passed since our arrival, and the anticipation was reaching a crescendo when I spotted Marcus's date heading toward the ladies' room. She moved with the graceful confidence of someone who'd never doubted her own beauty, her red hair catching the ballroom's chandelier light as she navigated through clusters of chatting classmates. Rachel's grip tightened on my arm instantly. This is it, she whispered urgently. This is our moment. My pulse quickened as I watched the redhead disappear through the ornate bathroom door. The timing felt cosmic. We'd been waiting for exactly this opportunity, and here it was, served up perfectly. Jennifer and Carmen are already in position, Rachel murmured, checking her phone discreetly. Maria just texted that she's near the bathroom entrance. Everything's aligned. We waited precisely 90 seconds before making our move, allowing the redhead time to settle in but not enough for her to finish and leave. The bathroom door felt heavier than usual as Rachel pushed it open, and the soft lighting inside created an almost intimate atmosphere that seemed perfect for what was about to unfold. The ladies' room was elegant and spacious, with a marble vanity area, individual stalls, and a separate lounge section with plush chairs and a full-length mirror. The redhead was touching up her lipstick at the far end of the vanity, humming softly to herself with the contentment of someone having a perfect evening. Carmen and Jennifer were already positioned strategically, Carmen washing her hands at the center sink, Jennifer pretending to search through her purse in the lounge area. Two other women from our graduating class, Ashley Parker and Nina Rodriguez, were also present, creating the perfect audience for what was about to happen. "Excuse me," Rachel said, approaching the redhead with a warm smile that masked her true intentions. "I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you here with Marcus Thompson?" The woman's face immediately brightened and she turned toward us with obvious delight. "Yes. Oh my goodness, do you know Marcus? I'm Stephanie Williams." She extended her hand with genuine friendliness, completely unaware of the storm she was about to walk into. "I'm Rachel and this is Emma," Rachel replied smoothly, accepting the handshake. "We've known Marcus for years. You two make such a lovely couple." Stephanie practically glowed at the compliment. "Thank you. Honestly, I can't believe how lucky I got. We matched on Bumble just 3 days ago and it's been absolutely magical. He's everything I've been looking for, successful, charming, emotionally available." She paused to apply another coat of lipstick. "I think I might actually be falling for him." My stomach lurched violently, but I forced myself to remain composed. Rachel continued the conversation with masterful precision. "He seems completely smitten with you too. What has he told you about his situation? His background?" Stephanie's eyes took on a dreamy quality as she launched into her story. "He's recently divorced, said it was amicable but that his ex-wife just wasn't the right person for him. They grew apart, wanted different things. He told me he's been lonely for months, just focusing on work and trying to heal." She sighed romantically. "He said I'm the first person who's made him believe in love again." Carmen had stopped pretending to wash her hands and was now listening intently. Jennifer had frozen completely, her purse forgotten in her lap. Ashley and Nina exchanged knowing glances that spoke volumes about Marcus's reputation. That's interesting, Rachel said carefully. Did he mention anything about children? Oh yes. Stephanie's smile grew even brighter. He said he's always wanted kids but his ex wasn't ready. He told me he'd love to have a family someday with the right woman. She checked her reflection one final time. Honestly, I've never met anyone who seemed so genuine, so ready for something real. The moment had arrived. I could feel every woman in that bathroom holding her breath, waiting for the revelation that would shatter Stephanie's romantic fantasy. My voice felt strangely calm when I finally spoke. Stephanie, I said quietly, stepping closer so she could see me clearly in the mirror. I need to tell you something important. I'm Emma Rodriguez. I'm Marcus's wife. The lipstick tube slipped from Stephanie's fingers, clattering onto the marble counter. She spun around to face me directly, her green eyes wide with confusion and growing alarm. I'm sorry, what? She said, her voice barely above a whisper. We've been married for 3 years, I continued, my voice gaining strength. We have a 4-month-old daughter at home. Her name is Lily. The color drained from Stephanie's face so completely that Carmen instinctively stepped forward, ready to catch her if she fainted. For several heartbeats, the bathroom was absolutely silent except for the soft hum of ventilation and the distant sound of music from the ballroom. You're serious? Stephanie finally managed, her voice cracking. I nodded, pulling out my phone to show her photos of Lily, of our wedding, of Marcus holding our newborn daughter in the hospital. Completely serious. What happened next surprised everyone in that bathroom. Instead of collapsing in tears or directing her anger at me, Stephanie's expression transformed into something fierce and dangerous. That lying, manipulative piece of garbage, she shouted, her voice echoing off the marble walls. I can't believe. I actually believed. She fumbled for her phone with shaking hands. I have to show you what he's been saying. The text conversations she displayed were devastating. Marcus had crafted an elaborate fantasy of being a lonely, divorced man who'd finally found his soulmate. He'd told her he was falling in love, that he'd been waiting his whole life for someone like her, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of in a partner. I told my sister I might have found the one, Stephanie said, her voice breaking with humiliation and rage. I canceled plans with my friends because I wanted to spend every free moment getting to know him. I actually thought. You thought you'd found something real, Ashley said gently, speaking for the first time. We've all been there. Nina nodded in agreement. Marcus always was a charmer, but this is next-level horrible. Jennifer stood up from her chair in the lounge area. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Stephanie's jaw set with determination as she clutched her wine glass tighter. I want to destroy him, she said simply. Tell me what you need me to do. Carmen smiled grimly. I think we can arrange that. The alliance was forming naturally, organically, with a power that felt unstoppable. Looking around at these women, some strangers, some old classmates, all united by Marcus's deception, I realized we had everything we needed for perfect public justice. Are you ready to walk back out there and let everyone see what kind of man Marcus really is? Rachel asked Stephanie directly. Stephanie's green eyes blazed with fury and determination. I've never been more ready for anything in my life. The bathroom door seemed to open on its own as we prepared to return to the ballroom, where Marcus was still performing his elaborate charade, completely unaware that his world was about to explode. The bathroom door swung open like the curtain rising on the final act of a play. Our group emerged in formation, Stephanie leading with the purposeful stride of a woman wronged, Rachel and I flanking her like generals supporting their warrior, and the other women following as witnesses to what was about to unfold. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Just as we stepped back into the ballroom, the DJ's voice boomed over the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention please. In just a few moments, we'll be presenting our class awards and recognition ceremony. The music volume dropped to a whisper, and conversations began to naturally quiet as people turned toward the makeshift stage area. The acoustics that had been muffled by dancing and loud music suddenly became crystal clear. Every word spoken would carry across the entire room. Stephanie paused at the ballroom's threshold, her reflection catching in the mirror-polished doors. She adjusted her hair, straightened her shoulders, and lifted her wine glass like a sword ready for battle. The transformation was remarkable. Gone was the dreamy, romantic woman who'd been gushing about her perfect new boyfriend. In her place stood someone fierce and focused, radiating the kind of energy that makes people step aside. "Ready?" she asked, not really waiting for an answer. The ballroom stretched before us, and I could see Marcus exactly where we'd left him. He was still positioned at the bar, but now his arm hung awkwardly in the air where Stephanie should have been. His face showed the first signs of confusion as he glanced around, clearly wondering where his date had disappeared to. He checked his phone, then scanned the crowd, his expression shifting from mild annoyance to genuine concern. Our approach created a ripple effect across the room. Conversations didn't stop entirely, but people began to notice the energy shift. Jennifer caught my eye from across the room and nodded subtly. She was in position. Carmen had strategically placed herself near a group of former football players who I knew would spread word quickly. Maria was recording discreetly from behind a pillar, documenting everything for posterity. As we drew closer to Marcus, I could see him more clearly. He was wearing an expensive navy suit that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget, his hair perfectly styled, his smile ready to charm anyone who approached. He looked successful, confident, completely unaware that his carefully constructed facade was about to crumble. "Marcus!" Stephanie called out when we were still 20 feet away. Her voice carried clearly across the quieting room, and several people turned to look. His face lit up with relief when he saw her approaching. "There you are. I was starting to worry you'd gotten lost." His charm was automatic, practiced, but I could see the slight tension around his eyes as he noticed she wasn't alone. Stephanie didn't slow her pace. If anything, she accelerated, closing the distance between them with determined strides. "I need to ask you something," she said, her voice loud enough that people at nearby tables began to pay attention. "Of course, beautiful. What's on your mind?" Marcus reached for her free hand, but she pulled back sharply. "Are you married?" The question came out like a bullet, sharp and devastating. Marcus's practiced smile faltered for just a moment before snapping back into place. "What? Oh, of course not. I told you I'm divorced. Why would you ask that?" The DJ had finished his announcement, and in the resulting quiet, Stephanie's next words carried to every corner of the ballroom. "You're on dating apps while married to someone who just had your baby?" The effect was instantaneous and electric. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Heads turned from every direction. The soft clink of silverware and glasses ceased entirely. Even the bartender stopped pouring drinks to stare. Marcus's face went through a series of expressions: confusion, denial, panic, all happening in the space of seconds. "Stephanie, what are you talking about? I don't understand." But Stephanie was already in motion. The wine glass in her hand tilted forward, and the deep red liquid flew in a perfect arc across the space between them. Time seemed to slow as the wine traveled through the air, catching the light from the chandeliers before splashing across Marcus's shocked face and expensive suit. The sound that followed was unlike anything I'd ever heard, a collective gasp from nearly 200 people that seemed to suck all the air out of the room. Marcus stood there dripping, his mouth opening and closing in shock, his hands held out uselessly as burgundy wine dripped from his chin onto his white shirt. That's when I stepped forward. Every eye in the room was already focused on our area, every ear straining to understand what was happening. My voice, when I spoke, carried with a clarity and strength I hadn't felt in months. "We have a beautiful daughter at home, Marcus. Her name is Lily. She's 4 months old." The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. You could have heard a pin drop in that massive ballroom. Marcus's eyes found mine across the small space that separated us, and I watched the color drain from his face as he realized exactly what was happening. "Emma?" he whispered, but his voice carried in the unnatural quiet. "What are you doing here? I told you to stay home." Mrs. Henderson, our former chemistry teacher who'd been chaperoning school events for 30 years, pushed through the crowd that was rapidly forming around us. "Marcus Thompson, is what this young woman saying true? Are you married with a baby?" Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but no sound came out. He looked like a deer caught in headlights, completely unprepared for public accountability. That's when Amy Peterson, his ex-girlfriend from senior year, called out from somewhere in the growing crowd, "I always knew there was something off about you, Marcus. Guess I dodged a bullet." Her comment broke the spell of silence, and suddenly everyone was talking at once. Voices rose from all directions. I can't believe he brought another woman to his reunion. His poor wife. She just had a baby. What kind of man does that? Someone get this on video. The vice principal's wife, Mrs. Rodriguez, who'd been volunteering as a chaperone, pushed forward with the authority of someone who'd spent decades managing teenage drama. This behavior is absolutely disgraceful, she announced loudly. Young man, you should be ashamed of yourself. Phones were appearing everywhere now, pointed in our direction. The crowd was growing larger as people from across the ballroom abandoned their conversations and tables to witness the spectacle. Marcus stood in the center of it all, wine still dripping from his hair, looking smaller and more pathetic by the second. This isn't. You don't understand, he stammered, trying to address the crowd that was forming around us. But his explanations were weak, unconvincing, and the evidence was standing right in front of everyone. Stephanie still held her empty wine glass, looking satisfied and righteous. He told me he was divorced, she announced to the crowd. Said he was lonely and ready for real love. I actually believed him. More voices joined the chorus of condemnation. People were sharing stories, connecting dots, remembering things about Marcus that suddenly made sense in this new context. The social destruction was happening organically, spreading through the room like wildfire. Unable to defend himself against the mounting evidence and public judgment, Marcus did the only thing he could do. He ran. He pushed through the crowd that had formed around us, shoving past former classmates and teachers, leaving a literal trail of wine drops on the marble floor. People stepped aside to let him pass, but their faces showed everything from disgust to amusement to pity. The great Marcus Thompson, who'd once been the most popular guy in school, was fleeing his own reunion in complete humiliation. The heavy ballroom doors slammed behind him with a sound that seemed to echo through the entire space, and then the room absolutely exploded into conversation. The euphoria of Marcus's public humiliation carried me through the remaining hours of the reunion like I was floating on air. Classmates surrounded me with support. Stephanie and I exchanged numbers and promised to stay in touch. And Rachel drove me home with the windows down, both of us laughing and replaying every perfect moment of Marcus's downfall. I floated into my mother's house around midnight, still wearing the emerald dress that had transformed my life, still glowing from the spray tan that made me feel invincible. Mom was waiting up with baby Lily sleeping peacefully in her arms, eager to hear every detail of the evening. I shared the highlights, carefully editing out the more vindictive elements, and she hugged me tight, telling me how proud she was that I'd finally stood up for myself. After checking on Lily and changing into comfortable pajamas, I finally allowed myself to crash. The adrenaline was wearing off, replaced by a deep satisfaction that felt better than any drug. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. Marcus had been exposed, humiliated, and revealed for exactly what he was in front of everyone who mattered. I was brushing my teeth when my phone started buzzing. The first text arrived at 12:28 a.m. What the hell was that tonight? Then another, you completely humiliated me in front of everyone. And another, I can't believe you would stoop so low. By 12:35, my phone was vibrating continuously with incoming messages, each one more vicious than the last. I sat on my bed and watched the verbal assault unfold in real time, each text revealing more of Marcus's true character than months of marriage ever had. You psycho attention seeker. First you refuse to lose the baby weight, then you humiliate me in front of everyone I know. Do you have any idea what you've done to my reputation? To my career? I told you to stay home for a reason, you vindictive witch. The names he called me became progressively worse, each message showing a level of hatred I'd never suspected he harbored. But instead of the crushing pain I might have felt months ago, I felt something entirely different. Vindication. Every cruel word he typed was proof that I'd been right to leave, right to expose him, right to protect our daughter from this toxicity. The threats came next. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you lose custody of Lily. I'm calling my lawyer first thing Monday. You're an unfit mother. By the time I'm done with you, you'll have nothing. I screenshot every single message, my hands steady despite the venom pouring through my phone screen. Each capture felt like collecting evidence for a trial, and in a way that's exactly what I was doing. At 1:15 a.m. when the messages finally stopped coming, I had 43 screenshots of pure, unfiltered abuse. Marcus had just handed me everything I needed to destroy him legally, and he was too angry to realize it. Instead of responding, instead of engaging with his rage and giving him the reaction he wanted, I opened our family group chat. The thread was titled Thompson Family Updates, and included Marcus's mother Patricia, his three sisters Maria, Carmen, and Sophia, his aunts Teresa and Linda, and several cousins who lived nearby. They'd been eagerly waiting for reunion photos, expecting to see happy pictures of Marcus and me enjoying our first night out since becoming parents. I attached all 43 screenshots to a single message and added only this. This is how Marcus talks to his wife who gave birth to his daughter 4 months ago. I thought you should know. The message delivered with a soft chime that felt like dropping a nuclear bomb. I turned my phone to silent, placed it face down on my nightstand, and went to sleep with a smile on my face. I woke up to 47 notifications. The explosion in the family chat had been immediate and devastating. Patricia, Marcus's own mother, had led the charge with a fury I'd never seen from the usually gentle woman who'd always treated me like her own daughter. No woman deserves to be treated like this after having a baby. I raised you better than this, Marcus. Her messages were in all capital letters, something I'd never seen her do before. She'd shared her own experiences with postpartum recovery, defending me with a ferocity that brought tears to my eyes. I gave birth to my third child 5 months ago and I know how hard it is. Your wife is a saint for dealing with your abuse while caring for a newborn. Aunt Teresa had joined in immediately. This is disgusting behavior, Marcus. I'm ashamed to call you my nephew. Cousin Roberto added, Dude, what is wrong with you? Emma is family. But it was Marcus's sister Maria who dropped the first bombshell. Since we're sharing Marcus's behavior, I should mention he's been sending me inappropriate texts about my friends. I saved them all. That comment opened the floodgates. Aunt Linda revealed. He made extremely uncomfortable comments about my daughter Jessica at Easter dinner. Sexual comments that made her cry. Cousin Diana shared, he hit on my girlfriend at my birthday party last year while you were pregnant, Emma. I should have told you then. Another cousin, Miguel, added, he asked my wife for her number at the family barbecue. Said his marriage was basically over anyway. The pattern that emerged was horrifying. Marcus had been behaving inappropriately with family members for years, making sexual comments about teenage relatives, hitting on married women, sending creepy messages to young women in the family. Everyone had individual pieces of his predatory behavior, but seeing it all together painted a picture of someone deeply disturbed. His sister Carmen tried to defend him initially. Maybe Emma did something to provoke this. Marriage problems aren't one-sided. But Patricia shut that down immediately. Carmen Sophia Thompson. You will not victim blame a woman who just had a baby. I don't care if she burned his clothes in the front yard. Nothing justifies this abuse. More family members kept adding their own experiences with Marcus's inappropriate behavior. The group chat became a confessional where years of suppressed incidents came pouring out. Uncle Fernando shared how Marcus had made crude comments about waitresses during family dinners. Cousin Lucia revealed that he'd tried to pressure her teenage daughter into sending photos. By morning, the family WhatsApp chat had 127 unread messages, and every single one of them painted Marcus as a predator who'd been hiding in plain sight. My phone rang at 8:30 a.m. Patricia's name appeared on the screen, and when I answered, she was crying. Emma Mija, I'm so sorry. I failed you. I failed my granddaughter. I enabled his behavior for years because I thought he would grow out of it. Her voice was thick with guilt and tears. Please let me help you. I have money saved, I have connections. Whatever you need to protect yourself and Lily, it's yours. She'd already contacted a private investigator who specialized in cases of domestic abuse and financial fraud. She'd also reached out to Elena Rodriguez, the best family law attorney in the city, and scheduled an emergency consultation for Monday morning. I'm paying for everything, Patricia insisted. The lawyer, the investigator, whatever it takes. Marcus is not my son anymore. You and Lily are my family now. The support from Marcus's own family was overwhelming. They'd seen his true nature exposed in those screenshots, and instead of circling the wagons to protect him, they'd immediately moved to protect me and Lily. The digital war Marcus had started with his abusive text had backfired spectacularly. Instead of intimidating me into submission, he'd provided the evidence that would destroy him and turned his entire family against him in the process. His reckoning was just beginning. The private investigator Patricia hired was a woman named Detective Sarah Mills. recently retired from the police force with 25 years of experience in domestic abuse cases. When she called me 3 days after our initial meeting, her voice carried the satisfaction of someone who'd struck gold. "Emma, you need to sit down for this," she said. "What I've uncovered about Marcus goes far beyond what any of us suspected." The evidence she'd compiled was staggering. Marcus hadn't just been unfaithful, he'd been living an entirely double life with the precision of a professional con artist. 5 separate dating app profiles across different platforms, each with carefully crafted personas. A secret phone registered under a false name. A private P.O. box where he received credit card statements for accounts I'd never known existed. "The financial fraud alone is enough to destroy him," Detective Mills explained, spreading documents across my kitchen table while Lily played contentedly in her high chair. "Hidden savings account with $47,000. Money he's been siphoning from your joint accounts for over 2 years. 3 credit cards in your name that you never authorized. And this is the kicker. He's been paying rent on a studio apartment across town since before Lily was even born." The apartment discovery hit me like a physical blow. He'd been planning his escape while I was pregnant, preparing his bachelor pad while I was gaining weight and preparing for our child. The lease agreement was dated to my 7th month of pregnancy, signed the same week he'd started complaining about my changing body. "He never intended to stay," I whispered, staring at the lease documents. "No, honey. He was just waiting for the right moment to abandon you both." But Detective Mills wasn't finished. The dating app evidence revealed a pattern of manipulation that was breathtaking in its scope. Messages to dozens of women over 2 years, each conversation following the same script. He'd perfected the art of emotional manipulation, telling each woman exactly what she wanted to hear while maintaining detailed notes about their vulnerabilities. "This is sociopathic behavior," Detective Mills said grimly. "The level of planning and deception we're seeing here goes beyond typical infidelity. This man is dangerous." Word of my situation had begun spreading through social media in ways I never could have anticipated. Rachel's Instagram posts about my transformation had gone viral, with women sharing their own stories of survival and empowerment. The hashtag #SisterhoodStrong was trending locally, and suddenly I was receiving messages from strangers offering support, legal advice, and their own evidence against Marcus. Sophia had organized what she called justice fundraisers at the spa, with proceeds going toward my legal fees. The events became community gatherings where women shared their own experiences with predatory men and celebrated survival stories. Local businesses began donating services, free legal consultation, financial planning, even job placement assistance. "You've become a symbol," Rachel told me over coffee one afternoon. "Women are seeing your story and realizing they don't have to accept abuse. You're inspiring people to fight back." The fundraising exceeded everyone's expectations. Within 6 weeks, the community had raised over $50,000 for my legal expenses, with excess funds being donated to local domestic violence shelters. Local news stations picked up the story, framing it as an inspiring example of community support for survivors. But the most powerful support came from unexpected sources. 38 different women came forward with evidence of Marcus's inappropriate behavior. Women from his gym, the coffee shop he frequented, the bookstore where he'd apparently spent hours hitting on customers. Even women from my prenatal classes revealed that he'd been sliding into their DMs while I was in labor. Elena Rodriguez, the family law attorney Patricia had hired, was a force of nature in the courtroom. When our case went before Judge Martinez, she presented evidence with the precision of a master prosecutor building a criminal case. "Your Honor," she said, laying out photographs of Marcus's secret apartment, "the defendant was planning to abandon his pregnant wife and newborn child while simultaneously draining their joint finances and maintaining multiple extramarital relationships." The judge's expression grew darker with each piece of evidence presented. When Patricia took the stand to testify against her own son, describing years of manipulation and predatory behavior within the family, Judge Martinez actually shook her head in disgust. "In 23 years on the bench," she said during her ruling, "I have rarely seen such a clear case of financial fraud, emotional abuse, and child endangerment. Mr. Thompson, your behavior is not only reprehensible but potentially criminal." The verdict was everything I'd hoped for and more. Full custody of Lily, with Marcus relegated to supervised visits pending completion of anger management classes and therapy. Substantial child support based on his actual earning capacity, not his claims of reduced income. Coverage of all my legal fees and a restraining order that would protect us for a minimum of 3 years. But perhaps most satisfying was watching Marcus's professional life crumble. The reunion video had been shared thousands of times on LinkedIn, making its way to his employer's executive team. Combined with harassment complaints from multiple female colleagues who'd finally felt empowered to speak up, his termination was inevitable. His social circle collapsed with equal speed. Former friends distanced themselves as their wives demanded it, unwilling to associate with someone exposed as a serial predator. Marcus found himself completely isolated, living back in his childhood bedroom at Patricia's house while she openly expressed her shame and disappointment. 8 months after that transformative reunion, I was sitting in my own apartment, a bright, airy 2-bedroom space that Lily and I had turned into our sanctuary. Sunlight streamed through windows I'd decorated with plants and photographs of our new life. Lily was thriving in daycare, babbling constantly and taking her first wobbly steps. I'd returned to work part-time at a marketing firm that valued my experience and offered flexible scheduling for single mothers. My evenings were spent finishing my degree online, something Marcus had always discouraged, claiming I wasn't smart enough for higher education. The women from the spa had become my chosen family. Our monthly sisterhood dinners had evolved into a support network that extended far beyond our original group. We celebrated each other's victories, provided shoulders during difficult moments, and maintained the bond forged in that transformative afternoon. Most surprisingly, I was dating again. Dr. James Chin, Lily's pediatrician, had asked me out after months of friendly conversations during routine appointments. He was kind, intelligent, and treated Lily like she was the most precious child in the world. Our relationship was moving slowly, built on respect and genuine affection rather than manipulation and control. On quiet evenings after Lily was asleep and I was studying at my kitchen table, I sometimes thought about Marcus's text that had started everything. "Stay home. Who'd want to see that?" The irony was delicious. By trying to hide me away, he'd forced me into the light where everyone could see exactly who I really was, and exactly who he was too. His attempt to diminish me had become the catalyst for my complete transformation. The reckoning I'd promised him had arrived in ways neither of us could have imagined. He'd lost everything: his family, his career, his reputation, his freedom. Meanwhile, I'd gained everything that truly mattered: independence, confidence, genuine love, and the unshakable knowledge that I would never again accept less than I deserved. Sometimes the best revenge really is living well. And I'd never lived better. What was your favorite moment of Emma's incredible transformation? Was it the spa sisterhood rallying together, the wine-throwing confrontation, or her ultimate victory? Your support means everything. Please hit that like button if this story inspired you and subscribe for more empowering tales of women rising above adversity. Together we're stronger.